Welcome back, and thank you for joining us for another episode. Today we're going to be talking about system maintenance procedures, which, if I use my context clues, I would assume that is procedures for maintaining the system. Is that right?
That's right. This is a huge part of cybersecurity. There are 4 things that we need to learn about in this episode, and those 4 things are, well, they're patching, they're configuration management, they're maintenance windows, and there are exceptions. So these are the 4 areas in system maintenance that we want to cover with you. And we begin with probably the most important, patching. Why is the patching of our systems so important? Well, because unpatched systems, more than any other type of, concept that we deal with in our world today, they lead to security issues. Some of the most famous breaches, some of the most famous attacks come from an unpatched system. And typically what's happening here is there was word that was given about a flaw, but the organization was not keeping up with the news about security flaws, so they failed to patch the system. Keep in mind, too, this is a frequent area of zero-day style of attacks. So there'll be a zero-day attack. Let's say Cisco sees this. They go, oh my gosh, this will address that zero-day issue. And they'll release the patch. And of course, the patch doesn't get applied to systems. And therein lies the problem. Something else to think about, too, Sophie, this is a big one. These days, we have more than ever bring your own devices entering the equation. So now we have to worry about, well, did Bob over there in accounting properly patch his iPad that he's using to do company work with?
This is cross-contaminating our courses a little bit, but we did talk about Microsoft Intune.
We sure
Is
did.
that something that would maybe prevent that kind of thing from happening?
Perfect, Sophie. Intune is designed for that. So when Bob comes in, his Windows machine is patched and updated properly, but so is his phone. So is his iPad. So is his Android tablet. Yeah, Intune is a product geared to make that happen. And Intune is also a product that's geared to do the patching, to automate the patching. It has compliance regulations, and we should always do that. And by the way, as kind of Sophie indicated, we're not saying you have to use Intune. We're saying find a BYOD management product that you like and get it implemented as soon as possible if you're falling prey to this unpatched system problem. Now, what do we typically do when we patch systems? Well, typically what we'll do is we'll get a system, and I see Nate here do this all the time at ACI Learning. He will get a system and he will test with that system. You don't want to roll out a patch company-wide, since the patch could cause issues for the overall operation of the system. So we want to make sure we test and test and test some more. And then after that, we'll actually implement the patch in the organization. And something that we want to accommodate for is rollback. Never, and I repeat, never, try and avoid this at least, don't deploy system-wide some kind of a patch without a procedure for rollback should that patch prove disastrous to the environment. Now, it shouldn't, because you've tested it on several machines, we hope, but it is important to have rollback procedures in place. And I'll tell you, test those rollback procedures. This reminds me of backup. Everyone loves to take backups and test that. What they don't love to do is test restoration. Well, what good is your backup solution if you don't know if you're going to be able to restore? So this is kind of like that. Test your patching and also test your rollback should the patching break something. Another thing that we have to do really when we patch systems is we have to have a phase where we validate. Did the patch really apply? And in a pen testing environment, we might even go a step further, apply the patch, and then start pen testing with that patch in place. Now, something else that falls under system maintenance, and we love this, it is configuration management. So with configuration management, the goal here is to make sure that performance of the system is kept completely and totally the same. Functionality is the same. Physical attributes are the same. Remember, in tech, it is an age-old thing of, did it work yesterday? It did? Okay. And it's not working today? What changed? That's almost always going to be the case. And you'll have end users lying to you like crazy. Nothing changed. Nothing changed. Oh, really? Nothing changed. What's this? Gosh, I'm terrible with games. What's this Call of Duty installation doing on your tablet? My son put it on there
It's for research purposes.
Yeah.
Ignore it.
And then you point out to them, guess what? That's a change. You installed unauthorized software on this work machine. That's a change. So let's make sure we have a configuration management system in place. From a software perspective, by the way, right? From a software perspective, we have configuration identification that needs to be handled, control, configuration accounting, even an auditing of the configurations that are in place. One of the exciting things is the fact that a lot of cloud-based systems now are starting to have tools like this built in. So as you're deploying systems from the cloud, there's going to be configuration management deployed right along with it. Now, something else, another concept, and I know this is very basic. I don't mean to insult anyone's intelligence out there. I know you're probably familiar with this, but let's just make sure we're aware of it in this area, and that is maintenance windows. You're going to need to keep people productive, and so that's why here at ACI Learning, we'll often see notes like, okay, the IT team is performing maintenance on the site, on the main IT Pro site, for example, and it's going to be down. And when you look at the hours, you won't be surprised to see like 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Mm-hmm. What's occurred there? Well, someone did an audit of when most studiers are studying on our website, and it ain't, that's the official term, it ain't between 2 and 4 a.m. Mm-hmm. So maintenance windows are great. By the way, we use maintenance windows for more than just like patching or upgrading. As you can see, large number of reasons why you may want to have a maintenance window. One of the big ones is often the deployment of a brand new application. So you'll do that in a maintenance window, and then you'll tell everyone, hey, when you come in tomorrow and reboot, you're going to have that shiny new application that you've always wanted and needed. And Sophie, there's only one last thing for us to talk about in this very simple, straightforward episode, and that is exceptions. We cannot forget, we have to accommodate for typically very specialized systems that are out there in our environment, which are going to be exceptions to the rule. I think you were telling me, Sophie, a great story that Daniel shared with you. Daniel Lowry is our resident cybersecurity guru. And he was talking about systems in like nuclear reactor facilities that were air gapped. They weren't on the internet and they weren't patched at all. Some of these systems are intentionally left in a static, non-changing configuration for fear of modifying the behavior of the system. And again, they're air gapped so no attacker can get to them. So you'll often find exceptions to the rule, and you need to be able to accommodate those in your security design.
And system maintenance probably, it's already not a terribly easy process. It is pretty involved, but I would imagine with the cloud becoming what it is, that probably complicates things.
Yes, the cloud does complicate things, but the great news is the cloud is also going to give us tools to help with it. So the cloud giveth and taketh away in this area.
It's a good way to put it.
Yep. And in fact, once again, so if you think about Intune, right? So Intune is like, hey, this is cloud-based assistance for you managing your IT environment. And if you love that kind of a tool, the cloud really helps out.
Well, there you go. You've got quite a few options, and it's good to kind of get into some of the basics of system maintenance procedures and learn a little bit more about that. And of course, be aware there are always going to be exceptions to the rules, so just keep that in mind. Thank you for walking us through this episode, Anthony.
My pleasure.
And thank you for joining us. As always, we'll see you next time.